Okay, so today I'm back to the unified theory of exercise, and I want to talk about this part here. So again, just to put it into context for people who haven't seen this, we've covered already the definition of what exercise is and what it isn't. And we've also talked about what is connected very close to this is the difference between actual exercise for conditioning and recreational that you're using um, for competitive skills, for recreation, psychological benefits, teamwork building, all these things. Very different from exercise that you're using specifically to improve your physical condition, and more specifically strength, because strength is basically the one thing that is connected in all of conditioning. And we haven't talked yet about the ideal environment, or at least I've touched on it, not gone into it. The fact that we're not looking to mimic skills that are used in sports when we're doing exercise, we're simply trying to work on getting as strong as possible. And we talked about the real objective, meaning that you're not trying to make weights go up and down as many times as you can, as much weight as you can. It's not what you do to the weights, it's what your weights do to your muscles, which is basically fatigue them. And this is where it goes to inroad theory. So the idea is that the stimulus, as far as we know, for your muscles and your body to adapt is to fatigue your muscles beyond a certain point. And at that point, that sends a signal to your body to do various adaptations to make you stronger, and also has many other benefits as well, has to do with insulin, dealing with insulin, glucose, many cascading benefits from doing that. So the idea here is 10-10 speed. So originally, Ken Hutchins is responsible for what is on this slide. Started out with a protocol that he called super slow, in which somebody lifted a weight in 10 seconds and lower it in 10 seconds. Now there's far more to that than simply moving slowly, but I'll come back to what is accomplished. And then the TSC acronym in there stands for time static contraction. And time static contraction is where you are simply doing an isometric exercise of some type, and you are doing it for three timed segments. Example, it can be done other ways, of 30 seconds each for a total of 90 seconds, with the first 30 seconds being 50% of the best that you dare, the second 30 seconds being 75% of the best that you dare, and the last 30 seconds being the very best that you dare. And essentially, what you're looking to do here is fatigue the muscles, and going back to the definition here, fatigue the muscles as thoroughly, deeply, and efficiently as you can in the minimum amount of time with the least amount of weight. So muscle fibers work on an all or nothing basis. So in other words, when your muscles are lifting a light weight, it's not like a whole bunch of fibers are working partially. And what happens is your body only recruits as many fibers as is absolutely needed to do it. But those fibers, whichever number are being used, are going to be working all out. And then as they fatigue, they drop off and they are replaced by new fibers. So you may have heard slow twitch, medium twitch, and fast twitch fibers. A lot of people think that that has something to do with how quickly you move, when in fact it refers to how quickly those fibers fatigue. So slow twitch fatigue more slowly, medium twitch a little quicker, and fast twitch they fatigue very quickly. And typically your body will save those fibers for fight or flight situations because they tire very quickly and they take longer to recover. Now, what happens though is your body, as you're doing a set of an exercise moving slowly, your body only recruits those fibers in a certain sequence. As the exercise becomes more difficult, let's say, to give an example, if you were doing a curl with a dumbbell, with a weight that you could do 10 times in good form if you did it perfect form. Well, for the first 2-3 reps, you're going to be using, and this is an approximation to give an example, it may not be exact from an actual technical standpoint. 2-3 reps, you might be using primarily slow twitch fibers, and the next few reps you'll be doing medium twitch fibers, and the next few, hopefully, if you work hard enough and push yourself enough, you will reach the fast twitch fibers. But here's the thing, fibers fatigue and drop off, but if they're allowed to rest, they recover also very quickly. So different analogies I'm going to use here. The first one is think of your muscles like your cell phone, and think of your cell phone is on charge. And if your cell phone has more resources than the charge that's coming in, then your battery level goes down. But if you stop using those resources for even a split second, then the phone starts to immediately charge back up again. So when you do multiple sets or you do haphazard repetitions where you use momentum and you do various things, every time you give your muscles a break, let them off the hook, if you will, for even a split second, they recover a little bit. So this is something that's useful if you're doing something that's not exercise for which you need your muscles to recover. So for example, if you're helping push your neighbor's car who's stuck in the snow, then you're going to push really hard, then you're going to stop for a bit, and then push again, and then you're going to do that over and over again, other than obviously you want to rock the car. Because if you simply put yourself behind the car and just push continuously, you would get fatigued very, very quickly, and if you weren't able to get the car out on your first time, you would be exhausted, which is undesirable if you're trying to get your neighbor's car unstuck, but is exactly what you're looking for if you're trying to do an exercise in a way that'll provide the best stimulus. So the other part of moving slowly is safety, because as you move slowly, the force being mass times acceleration, that you subject your ligaments, tendons, bones, muscles to is much less. So another analogy I'm going to use here is driving a car. And at each end, when you start and end a repetition of an exercise, so for example, if you were lifting and lowering, think of that as when you get to a stop sign with your car, because at one point you have to stop the direction you're moving in and then start to go in the other direction. So when you're driving your car, you don't wait until you get to a stop sign, maybe 10 feet away, slam on the brakes, and then subsequently floor the car to move away from the stop sign. No, what you do is you slow down in time and you stop smoothly, you look both ways, and you ease away from the stop sign. Now picture that in this car that you have some plants that you just bought at the greenhouse, and they're in the back and they're not very well settled and you don't want to spill them over. How much smoother would you drive your car if you're doing that? So by not spilling the plants, you are creating even less force when you turn around, and you're not going to drive fast. So when you're doing an exercise, you should think the same way as thinking about doing that smoothly. Another good cue that I have to give credit for Albert Coleman, who I recently read an article of his, Al Coleman of Phoenix Strength, and he talks about when he coaches his clients, telling them that the weight that they're lifting is hanging from a frayed rope or hanging from a thread, and tells them that if they should move suddenly, either by dropping it on the way down or by starting suddenly, think of the frayed rope or break, or it's hanging from a thread. And by doing that and being extremely smooth all the way through, you're never letting your muscles off the hook. So we think you're always inroading. Inroading is another word for fatigue. You're inroading your starting level of strength. Meaning, if you were able to lift 100 pounds once, but you use a weight that's 70 pounds, and you continue that exercise until you can no longer lift that 70 pounds even once, you've inroaded or fatigued your muscle by 30%. Now you could do that with multiple sets. You could do that with jerky repetitions. You could do a whole different ways of accomplishing it. But if you're continuously giving your muscles a chance to recover by doing haphazard repetitions or by doing sets that are less than failure and then just doing another set, using a car analogy, and I'll give this credit to this analogy to Doug McGuff, author of Body by Science. It's kind of like if you just get in your car and you drive from A to B, you get there most efficiently with less wear and tear on your car. Whereas if you decide to take the scenic route and stop at a few different places, do some groceries, and just go down a few side country roads just because you want to see it, you'll still get there, but it'll take you a lot more time, and you will do so with a lot more wear and tear in the car if that's the way you do things. And of course, you're going to be driving this car, and you want this car to last you a lifetime. So you should always be looking for ways to accomplish your task with the least wear and tear. And of course, if you simply don't work hard enough, that's like taking off from point A and not even bothering to get to point B, thinking that, well, if I just keep driving halfway there over and over again, I'll eventually get there. No, if you never get to the point where your muscles are totally fatigued, then you will never create the stimulus in order to make adaptations. It has to be beyond a certain amount. Does that mean you have to go to complete failure? No, but we don't know exactly where the threshold is. So you should do as many perfect repetitions the way I described them, smoothly, without any jerking, pretending that, if you will, you are lifting something that's hanging from a thread, thinking of every change of direction the way you would on a stop sign while driving a car where you have something in the back, a pail of water or some plants that you don't want to spill, and continue that in perfect form until it becomes very, very difficult, if not absolutely impossible. So that's the other part of this, the 10-10 speed. It's difficult to discuss these things uniquely, but in order to keep these videos to relatively short, which I've already gone way over, it's difficult because it's all part of a greater whole. So anyways, hope this is good and has some benefit for people. And I look forward to having people subscribe to the channel if they find some value in this. All the very best. Bye for now.